I don't like it. I don't like the summer. It's too hot, it's stupid, and it's 10 PM, but the sun is still out there, staring at me, mocking me. I don't like him. I'm not made for this time of year. I'm from Scotland, and I grew up listening to Generation X on Saints Row 2. I'm a freak. I hate sunlight. Because of this, I get a bit demotivated around this time. I lose interest in projects, taking them very slowly, and just end up playing comfy video games. The kinds that I would probably take with me on a deserted island. You know, stuff like Animal Crossing, The Sims, Stardew Valley, Doom, Resident Evil 4. You can see the two genres of game I like here. And making videos for this channel is a bit of both. It's a project about video games, and how I've made videos during the summer has kind of reflected my brain at this time. A couple years ago I very slowly chipped away at a video about Dead Rising, a game I find quite comfy, and last year I very slowly chipped away at a video about Quake, a game series I find quite comfy. I haven't meant it, but I've been fairly demotivated to make videos, so I just slowly talk about games I find easy to talk about, and so the same has happened this year as well, with this being a video on The Sims that took forever to make. This video shouldn't have taken this long. I'll get to why it did, but Jesus Christ. The thing is that I can't just talk about The Sims. That's like talking about Tetris or something. Now that I think about it, I can actually talk about Tetris, so like, you'd want to kind of keep a line, like an empty line at the either side of the screen. There are a bunch of Sims spin-offs though I can talk about, and probably will over the coming years, but for now I thought I'd look at The Sims 2 on DS because, like, it's barely a Sims game, but at the same time it's very much a Sims game. Also, I'm actually a terrible criminal because I emulated this. I do own a copy, I'll show a picture right here. I emulated it despite this because I don't have a way to record off the console. The only problem with the emulation that I saw was lights on a sign flickered weirdly, but that was about it. I just bring it up because you can see my cursor throughout the game. So, sorry if that bothers you. I guess you have to dislike the video. The game starts with your car breaking down in a ghost town, and this old guy decides to repair it as long as you manage the hotel and restore the town to its former glory. Which, like, isn't very equal pay, but what are you gonna do? You're in the middle of nowhere, you're just gonna walk away. The thing is that the fact I can even give that summary shows why this isn't as similar to The Sims as you might expect initially. The Sims is a sandbox. The point is that you take a character's life wherever you want it to go. Sure, The Sims have aspirations and stuff, but you don't actually need to listen. Like, fuck them, what are they gonna do? But Sims 2 DS is very scripted in comparison, and unlike actual Sims games, you have to physically do your job, so the Sims aspect of this game kind of falls to the back a bit. This also isn't a kind of Animal Crossing Sims hybrid before that existed. There are plenty of similarities. The way the game controls gives me more Animal Crossing vibes than Sims vibes, with a third-person camera and D-pad movement, and the day and night cycle is based on real time and affects the world in ways like what the shop is selling. Animal Crossing was definitely an influence here, even though it actually came out before Animal Crossing came to the DS, but the game has one key difference that keeps it from feeling like either of these games, that being that the customization is, bad. Customization's always a big aspect for me personally. It's why I prefer something like Stardew Valley to Factorio. Making things look nice is just a good motivator for me. I like that as I play these games, I end up with a world that feels like my own, and that is a genuine driving force to make me play more. I tried my hardest to make this my hotel, but it's just impossible. To be fair, the character customization is pretty much what I expected. It's a stripped down Sims 2. Like, I couldn't make myself as well as I could in that game, but there's a good selection of clothes with different colours for each type, and the hairstyles I've come to expect after having bad hair in real life for so long. It's not great, but it's pretty much what you'd expect from a 2005 DS game. The furniture stuff though is weird. There's a decent amount of variants of basic stuff, plenty of kinds of beds, couches, fridges and stuff, but nothing else really. There's no kind of decorations. I could have bought an arcade machine, but it was really expensive, and that item only changes once a month. So if you don't want an arcade machine, you have to wait a full month to get something else. Any other decoration stuff was story based, like this coffin, which was cool, but that's it. You can't fill the room with gnomes or something because there are none. It's basically only the furniture you'd require. Even if there were decorations though, they'd be useless because of this build mode. You can't change wallpaper or remove this awkward stage, which is odd, but actually placing stuff is incredibly limited as well. Every piece of furniture has a kind of invisible border to it, so this sink might look really small, but placing it there was a juggling act because it needs this much space in this tiny room. Having a bed in the middle of your room is a bit weird, but here I can't do anything else because I tried pushing the bed to a wall and it just wouldn't let me. You can't even put the head at the wall. How am I supposed to be immersed if the bed is in the middle of the room? This is chaos. How do you... I'm sure this isn't a big deal to anyone, but it's weird. It's a little disappointing and it takes away those Sims ties even further. The only things left that are Simish are the needs and the Sims themselves, both of which are still here but stripped down in ways you might expect for a handheld game. Needs are all pushed into one bar marked sanity, which slowly drains, and if you don't do something for a while, your sim will say, and the sanity meter will start draining slightly faster. If it drains, aliens take you home, exactly what you'd expect. It's nothing huge, it's a more casual versions of the usual needs. You don't have to restore your needs very often, but if you do, your room has everything you'd need and is never far away. When the sanity meter goes down, I found that beating the hunk of meat in the hotel's freezer restores it. And I know what you're thinking. Yes, being in the freezer does drain the sanity meter faster than the place is heated normally. This happens when you go away from civilization as well, it's a nice little detail. The way you communicate with people is stripped down as well. Instead of having choices in how you act, you basically fight them. If they're in a bad mood, or if you want to impress them, you play this combat-ish thing where they do a pose and you need to respond with the right action. It's pretty simple, and the more you do it, the more they like you. All these aspects and how they've been stripped down mean that the game has kind of been made less The Sims and more like Thrillville. As I said, you manage the hotel, however at the start most of it is closed off, so you have to slowly build more rooms, whether these are rooms for people to stay in, rooms for activities, or rooms in the basement which are just kind of anything. Rooms for people are self-explanatory. I don't know how to explain the basement stuff, but the activity rooms... activities. You have the art gallery, the sax lounge, the casino, the lion lounge, the spa and gym, and the Asian emporium. These each have their own distraction apart from the lion lounge, which is just the sax lounges again, I guess. Some of the distractions are a bit rubbish. The spa can tan you, which... it tans you. And the Asian Emporium is just this Atari-ish arcade machine, but the main three are the art gallery, the sax lounge, and the casino. The casino's self-explanatory. It's a casino. It has this card game, which I'm sure is great, but I'm not learning it. Don't tell anyone, but I accidentally learned how to play the card game while I was getting this footage, so the art gallery lets you draw on these canvases, which is okay, but a bit limited. And it did say my painting was garbage, like okay Sims 2. It even had the guy who bought it call me and tell me he was burning it. Like, okay, just rub it in, just keep... The art gallery is a neat distraction for a bit though. The sax lounge is similar, it has a music creator thing, which is alright. It gives you this little keyboard you can mess around with, which can make music that plays throughout the hotel, and ringtones. I made my ringtone a high-pitched noise, and I made this little nice song. Despite the fact that I'm clearly great with the music creator, I didn't actually use it much because while you have lots of different instruments and presets, you're not actually able to do that much. You can't actually make your own songs, you can only play along with what's already there. That's why there's kind of weird background music behind my artistic... whatever. I initially wrote that this is like a toy, but I don't know if I actually agree with that because it's more that you just can't do anything with it. Mario Paint's music creator is basically like a toy, but you can do what you like with it, here though you're so restricted. It's the same with the art gallery, there's only so much you can do with it. It all feels like a toy, and to be clear, that's exactly what I expected. I don't think they could have done anything else with what's here, but like, there isn't much here. It feels like these distractions were made for a child, but The Sims 2 isn't really a children's thing, is it? It's kind of for any age group. But I don't see these distractions entertaining anyone older than like 10. I ended up pretty bored with the game after not long, and yet I still like it. It's alright. You know how I said it's very much a Sims game, despite then immediately showing it's nothing like The Sims? Well, I'm a wee bit stupid. It still has a very strong Sims vibe through the game's overall world and writing, and with the customization stuff aside, it's like Animal Crossing in the middle of nowhere, which I guess is what Animal Crossing is, but like, I mean it differently. This town feels like a nowhere land with only one street and a weird outskirts area with nothing in it apart from random objects. It's similar to Harry Potter in that due to console limitations it feels empty and quiet, but unlike Harry Potter, it actually suits the game. It's meant to be in the middle of nowhere, and being outside does actually feel that way, especially since you can often go from a room full of people to a completely empty one. Those Sims add to it as well, they're always acting in different ways, supposedly taking part in activities or just, I don't know, standing. The fact you know each of the few characters in the game gives the town a genuine sense of having a weird tiny community, and I like that a lot. This aspect's actually very similar to Animal Crossing, with the villagers taking part in different activities, but since this game isn't treated as a cartoon and instead it's close to the real world, it feels strange. What contributes to this the most though is the story, because this game actually has a story. I'd genuinely consider skipping to this time and playing it all for yourself because it's the best part of the game. This sounds weird, but I'd say the game has a few like arcs where a villain moves into the hotel and then you stop them. The first arc is normalish, a mafia boss moves into the hotel and then you kick them out for being a mafia boss. Like, it's a little weird, but it's not otherworldly. However, before this, you build the casino and Emperor shows up and you have to shoot him with a water gun. This is out of nowhere, doesn't really come up again until the end of the game and is treated like a minor inconvenience. The guy you're with just acts like him showing up is a regular occurrence, and the game just continues as normal, like nothing happened. Later on in the game, a goth woman moves into the hotel and you think like, that's fair enough, she'll love it here, I totally butchered Welcome to the Black Parade and it's playing everywhere. But then she creates a cult in the hotel basement and you have to resurrect a mummy to stop her. It's all very strange and random, and I've not even mentioned the fact that you can just become a superhero at any point. What makes it stick out though is that, like, it's not weird, it's just what it's like there. The game doesn't act like you're a hero or that this is all extraordinary because it's The Sims 2, it's just life. Having all those bizarre elements show up and having everyone just shrug at them and go on with life fits with The Sims perfectly because, after all, The Sims is just a life sim that happens to have aliens and ghosts and being able to become friends with death. I ran out of breath there when saying death, and I feel like that's appropriate, so I'm keeping it in. So you have a script that is perfect for the very unscripted nature of The Sims, and when you put that with the weird, lonely world the DS hardware creates, you end up with such a unique game. It's like a Sims version of Deadly Premonition or something. It's wonderful. And probably only wonderful to me, but like, I don't know, I enjoyed it. There is, however, something to talk about which makes the game kind of awkward to recommend, along with being the reason this video took so long. To progress in the story you have to build rooms in the hotel, which costs money. The thing is, you make money through those activities which get very boring. There's a few more ways to earn money, like buying scratch cards, but no matter what you do it is very grindy and very slow. This would be really annoying and it would probably stop me from finishing the game, but thankfully you can earn money from the hotel guests' rent, which works well enough to build the hotel as long as you occasionally show up to clean it and book new guests. However, the guests work in real time. When they say they're leaving on Saturday or whenever, they're leaving on Saturday and you won't get any of their money till then. This is mostly okay. It means you're not actually playing the game, but it means you don't have to play the game. As I said, if this wasn't here, I doubt I would have finished it. It's only a couple days as well, so it's not too bad. You could just log in, see the fun story stuff, and forget about it for the next couple days, like a mobile game you get out on the bus or something. However, by the end of the game, this changes and gets pretty bad. You have these skill points, right? They're pretty inconsequential until the end of the game. Like, the body one reduces your sanity slower, and I think there's one that makes people like you faster. There's also the mechanical one though, which just does nothing. But you need it. You get to a point where you're told you need to get it to level 5. The problem with that is how you get these levels is really random. You'd think to upgrade body you'd run on a treadmill, and for the popularity one you'd just talk to people or something, but no. You get them through these pickups. And when these pickups appear is determined entirely by time for some reason. There's a timetable online which shows when and where each pickup appears. I don't know how I beat the game without this, because each skill point only appears like once a day, and if you're not available at the time that skill point appears, you have to wait another day. This led to like almost 2 weeks I think, where I didn't progress the story at all because I just wasn't able to play the game at these times. And then even once I did this, you can only complete the objective from 6 to 10 PM. And I wasn't able to play then, so I had to wait another day. I don't even remember the game telling me that I could only complete the objective in those hours, but like, I would have been told 2 weeks before it mattered, so maybe it did tell me, I don't know. This isn't a huge deal, but it's really awkward. For that last bit, you have to bend your real world timetable for The Sims 2, and that is just like, bizarre. However, despite that, and also kind of because of that, I think I recommend it. It's strange and fun to see, and while the core game isn't very good, you have plenty of room to skip that. But at the same time, that ending's stretch. I don't think this game is for many people, but if it does sound like something you'd like to give a shot, then get a physical copy. It's cheap, and I think having the game on you just to pull out and update like a mobile game is the best way to go through it. Actually trying to beat it by playing the mini-games would be like hellish, and playing it on an emulator on PC like I did is kind of awkward. This is a weird little game that I didn't expect to enjoy in the way I did, but here we are. I also thought it would be a quick and easy video to make after 2 Human, but here we are. It took forever for me to finish, and I apparently have more to talk about with it than Doom 2016, so yeah. I might look at more Sims spin-offs in the future because I didn't realise how many of these there are, but until then, I'm going to kill the sun. It's staring at me from my window and I can stare back actually, so fuck you. What are you going to do? Are you going to come down here and fight me? You going to try?
I don't think I'll ever live to see a prophet. I don't want to be a locket, clinging to a chest till the last breath.
I had to re-render this entire video because the Crystal Castle song caused a copyright claim, but like, every upload of the song I found is through fans. None of them are official, it's not on Spotify or anything. So, like, what?